What's up, Mizzou Nation? Welcome to our first live showing of Making Mizzou. I'm your host, Martin Rucker, my co-host, Tommy Saunders. Thank you so much to 360 Vodka for allowing us to bring in our guy, Jeff Wolfert, live here from Taps on Main in KC Mo. Wolfie, thanks for joining the show, man. What's going on?
Oh, not too much. Living in KC and raising a family and, tune in whenever I can.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate it, man. Well, for those of you who know, which all of you absolutely do, this is one of the best kickers in Mizzou history. It's perfect 185 for 185 extra points ever made. Incredible. I know you think it's real easy to go out there and kick the extra point because it's not that far, right? But Wolfie, talk to us about that. It's a feat that's not often accomplished to make every single one of them. Why is it so tough to go out and just kick an extra point?
Well, there's a lot of elements that go into play, and sometimes a lot of them are in your control, and some of them are not. As I'm talking about it, I got my holder right here.
Yeah, and I know the holder sometimes is just
he
not always up to snuff.
He was part of a lot of those. Brad Eckereku and Tommy Saunders were the only two guys who ever held footballs for me. Yeah. And, Tommy was able to get the laces out and get straight enough so that I was able to make those little chip shots. And I kind of relate a extra point to like a layup in basketball.
Sure.
Everyone has the potential to miss it, but if you're really focused and you're doing what you can do, you can make those darn near every single time. So I just brought the same focus to an extra point. That knowing that I can miss this, but like if I do everything right in my control, then good things should happen.
That's awesome. Tommy, you were the holder. How much pressure was there? Who do you guys think the more pressure was on, the holder or the kicker?
It was definitely on the kicker. I remember getting down sometimes. I'm like, this looks like a tough kick. Like that looks far away. So, and then in practice, I'm always talking to him like, hey, tell me exactly how you want this ball when we're on the left hash and the right hash. And so he's like, oh, if we're on the left hash, we need to have it directly towards the middle of the uprights. I need to pull towards you a little bit, slightly back or slightly forward, depending on where we're at on the field. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I didn't think that's what the details I was going to get when I first started,
right.
Holding. And so trying to understand exactly how he likes the ball and where it is. And basically like, don't give it a distraction where, I'm bobbling or doing something where it's just like, even if the laces are wrong, he would rather have them straight back at him versus like pointing to the side.
Right.
So knowing some of those little details about him and what's going to like mess him up, he doesn't want to see the ball moving before he kicks. So, just asking questions and us feeling comfortable, he could tell me whatever if I did something wrong or whatever. So
I think about when I'm at the professional football games, how your special teams guys, that's all they do is special teams. And so while the offense and defense are on the field, those guys are over there snapping, holding. Or in college, you play another position. You play wide receiver, so you don't have time before the kick to go over where the ball is on the field and what exactly you want him to do. So, like, how tough is that for you to run out on the field, you to not even really know? You know where we are on the field, but, like, as far as how he wants the ball and all those things, to get that set up in that 25 seconds on the play clock, talk about how stressful and how tough that is to get done.
You kind of distracted me there a little bit. As Tommy was reminiscing about how I like those footballs, I don't know if I could have regurgitated that for you right now, but I'm surprised that you remembered that. But as you're talking, explaining about it, it just brought back some memories. Like, oh, yeah, I do like it when the wind's blowing to be pushed a different way. Or, you know what, I would much rather prefer to hit the laces as opposed to see the laces to the side. Even though it's going to hurt to hit the laces, that ball can still go straight. Maybe not as far, but it still goes straight. But if it's laces to the left, more times than not, those missed kicks are to the left. Or laces to the right, those missed kicks are to the right. Been watching Mason Crosby a little bit in the Packers because they seem to be shown a lot on Sundays. And Mason has had a rough go at it, but he's also had a new long snapper and a newer holder, and he's missing some kicks. But when those laces aren't perfect for him to the left, he's missing left.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's definitely a strong correlation there. But as far as only playing one position, that's all my focus is, and there's nothing else to distract me. So, like, I can really lock in, and I know the down distance. I know when there's a possibility my name might be called.
Yeah.
And I just make sure that my snapper's ready to go. And then I've always Tommy knows he's usually out there on third down anyway. So like for him, it's just a matter of, all right, well, instead of offense, it's special teams.
Yeah. Talk about how, I think the biggest thing is the mental
Absolutely.
focus that it takes, because you could be on the sideline for an hour and a half before you go out there and you got one play. You have to go kick it, as hard as you can or close to it, give full effort, and then you're back on the sideline. It could be another 45 minutes before you're out there again.
I didn't enjoy that aspect of kicking. Like game day wasn't necessarily very fun. Just like, I mean, you play basketball or you play football, it's like you're constantly doing different plays, and like you have good plays, you have bad plays, you have an opportunity to get back or get into a groove even at that.
Yeah.
And you don't have any time to even really think about what just happened because you're on to the next play. And it's very soon.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there'd be times where I might only hit one extra point, or I'm always hitting extra points when we were playing. But I'm not hitting any field goals, and it's just like there's a lot of time in between plays, and it's just like all you have to do is just sit there and think about what can I do better or what did I do wrong that I need to improve. And, like, since there's not a lot of content there, essentially, not a lot of plays, like you just start kind of just like super focusing in on one event where it's just like that's an anomaly. You don't even think about that one. Like you just need to think about the next kick, but the next kick might be next week. Like
because I mean, thinking about it now is like, if we scored 21 points, you've been only out there 3 times. You had 3 plays in a 3.5 hour game, and then hey, go out there to make the game winning kick. 50-yard kick, 47-yard kick, like.
That's kind of what Baylor was like. I don't know if you remember, like I didn't really do much there, and we were in a tight game, and all of a sudden we were in a position where one kick and we win the game, but like I hadn't been playing like the whole game. And so it's just like, all right, well, like I guess I'm going to play, and like it's the last couple seconds of the game. And I mean, luckily we were able to make that kick, but it's just like I wasn't in a groove. I wasn't already having a good game, and I was already like really mentally strong. And it's just like, no, that was pretty much all I had to do that game. And luckily it worked out, but I think I brought at least the focus and mentality. It's like, all right, it doesn't matter that I haven't played before this up to date during that game. It's just like I need to make one kick. So it's just like the other guys can do what they need to do to get the ball in the right spot. I'm going to get my approach right. I'm going to get my plant foot right. I'm going to try to get the best ball contact that I can. And then from there, that's all I can control.
Yeah. So how do you keep yourself warm in a game like that? Do you have a special routine? Special teams guys are always different. That's just
kicking a lot of balls on the sideline. Like that's all it is. It's just like a batter would in the batter's box. When they're on deck, they're getting ready. But like I'm on deck every time the offense was over by the 50-yard line.
Sure.
So it's like whether we go down there and we throw an interception, we go down there and maybe we lose the ball. Like I was just as ready to go out there and kick a field goal as the time that I actually do get called to go out there to kick a field goal. So it's like maybe I hit 5 field goals in one game, but like my body is actually just as tired if we hit none, because like I've done the same amount of kicks on the sideline, getting ready
and mental.
Right. So you're right. There's a lot that kind of goes into it that goes unseen or people aren't aware of.
And so talk about it kind of might seem like we're getting down into the weeds of what it takes, but part of the group and the team that we had, that was a focus that we all had to have to be great. Those details and mental toughness. Whenever you got done playing, didn't you have you're the most accurate kicker in NCAA? Was it history or for that year?
No, it is over a career. So that's what for combined kicks. You combine field goals, extra points. I had the highest cumulative percentage in history.
And that's in the details and the mental toughness and the focus that it takes for that. And I remember working with a long snapper and getting the right, we had to be the exact right distance away because of the rotation of the ball. So we would catch the ball with the laces, the right spots. You're not having to do a big turn. Like those attention to details are how you become great.
Yep.
And how your team becomes great, and building those relationships with your teammates. All those things are really important when you're talking about being trying to get to where you want to go, being number one in the nation.
Absolutely.
Right? Everything is a big deal. There are no little things.
It's funny. We're at Taps on Main, sponsored by 360 Vodka. We're talking about being successful and how that team was so good. But, like, every area where that team was so good. And you talk about how great the offensive was and how explosive the offense was and how the defense was so good and the guys that went on to the NFL to play off that defense. But, like, the special teams was awesome too. Every single facet of those teams was great. And, talking with Jeff Wolfert, he was the major part of that. Scoring points, he was the single season and career scoring records at Mizzou when he left. And I think those records still stand today, but I know they were there when he left. And so that was just as much a part of our offense as the guys catching balls and throwing balls. Talk a little bit about the current Tigers. Keeping up with them at all, and they got a pretty good kicker on their squad right now. You follow him a little bit?
I'm definitely aware of Harrison Mevis and the success that he has earned and experienced. And I think it was Dave Matter that kind of said it. He's like, not only is he making a lot of kicks and big kicks, but like the ones he's making, like they're right down the middle and they're like crushed through the upright. So it's they're not like, oh, he slid that one by or that one bounced in. It's like that ball was going in from the whole way. So there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
It's like Steph Curry. He's like, is he hitting the backboard and they're going in, or like are they swishing like 3 times in a row? It's like he looks confident and his ball shows that he's confident.
That's awesome. Think back to your career, your entire career there at Mizzou. What was the biggest kick you ever made?
The biggest kick,
most pressure.
For me, is my first kick I made. I actually missed my first field goal. It went over the top of the upright. Uprights were taller, would have gone in. Maybe it might have bounced square on it, come right back. But at that point in my career, if I missed one more kick, probably the next kick, I would have been the kicker.
Yeah.
And so it's like, for me, that was my biggest kick, was the next one that I was able to make, because it's like, okay, I'm still at this. I'm still going. There is no more story to be had if I don't make the next kick, really.
Yeah.
So quick answer, that.
Nice.
So talk about that, because you were part of the swimming and diving team. Talk about that transition and how you came to, because you didn't come to Mizzou to play football, right? If I remember correctly, or kind of walk us through how that
get from
happened.
The pool to the field.
Yeah, how did that happen?
I mean, I guess I had a lot of dreams and I did a little bit of everything. But in high school, I was quite undersized. Freshman year, I was 5'3", 100 pounds. So it was just like football just really wasn't a great option for me. I was fast. I could throw a football, but like, so if I was going to play, I want to be the quarterback. But like, nope, I've been crushed. So like, I really didn't grow until senior year in high school. By that time, football was kind of out of the equation. So, but I always had really good foot skills. So I wanted to be the kicker, and I was able to go out my senior year and won the job. And then first game of the season, I broke my hip out for the season. And so like, I never really got to experience football. And was I good at it? Was I not? I always thought I could be good at it, but I have no experience and I haven't proven it to myself. And I was a good diver. Schools across the country were recruiting me, and I'd be lying if I told you any differently. Like, as I was going on recruiting trips to these different schools, I was still looking at what is their football program like, do they have a full scholarship freshman kicker? Right. Because if they do, that means like there's probably not much opportunity there.
Right.
I'm not talking about this with the swim and dive teams, but like I'm actually looking at it and thinking that way. And Mizzou ended up having a program that was good for me to go to as a diver, and I saw football wise, just like, well, it's be just as good as opportunity there as anywhere. And I actually tried out for the football team first day of school, even though I was scholarship swim and diver.
Right.
And they weren't taking anyone that season, but then I tried out again. So like that whole freshman year, I'm diving, but then like a couple days a week, I'm sneaking up to the football indoor facility with my own footballs and hitting balls with my friends down the dorm. And it's like, who's this guy? I don't know, this guy's a diver, but like, no one's asking those questions. I'm just trying to keep that dream alive.
Right.
And then finally, like, I was able to kick in front of Coach Yost, and he gave me an opportunity.
That's awesome.
That's really funny, because I remember, like, as a walk-on, and as you walked on, it's the confidence that I know I can play. It doesn't matter. I know I can play at this level. I know I'm good enough. And there's just something about, I feel like those are the players that go to Mizzou. They have a chip on their shoulder. Because I remember sitting in the on my visit with Coach Hill, okay, unofficial visit. We drove around in our car, and he pointed out campus. We sat in the meeting room, and he's going through the roster. He's like, this is Brad Ekweku. He's 6'4", can run a 4.3. We got Will Franklin coming in. He's 6'3", can run a 4.4. Greg Bracey, he runs a 4.28. He's 6. Like, he's going through this roster of all Sean Coffey, all these receivers. And I'm like, I go to the spring game like, I know I can play. I know I can play, and I know I can start. And so the fact that you didn't play football in high school, I didn't know that. And then you try it out, and you try it again, knowing, and you just had that, and then you have the best career in NC, ever. So, like, where did that confidence come from, and knowing that you really didn't even get a chance to really start practicing kicking because of your hip until you got to school? So where did that come from? How did you know that you were good enough to do that?
I mean, your shock, it kind of reminds me of something. After my first game starting, Coach Pink was actually asked after that kind of how I did and, like, what he thought. And that's actually the first time when the reporters were pointing out that, like, I didn't play in high school. Like, I played one game, and that was news to Coach Pinkle. Like, here he was, like, trusting me to, like, go out there and, like, how does he know how I'm going to react? Like, I have no experience kicking in front of 30, 40, 50,000, let alone 1,000 people.
Yeah.
So it's like, so how did I know that I could do it?
Yeah.
I just feel like growing up playing a lot of different sports, I'd put in enough situations that there is pressure on the line, whether it's like we're at a soccer tournament and game's time to go to overtime, and now we're hitting penalty kicks. Like, I was always the guy out there hitting penalty kicks, or I was always the guy hitting corner kicks, and it's just like, you have one opportunity. And I just, no matter what the situation was, I just felt like I could always control how I could perform. I can't control things that I can't control, but, like, it's just like, can you hit the ball hard? Can you keep it low? Like, and it's just like, I could do that. Could I go hop up there and hit a free throw? I could. And in the backyard, it's just a lot of, like, just mental reps. It's just like, okay, you've got one shot, one free throw. You got to make it. You miss it, you lose the state championship.
Yeah.
It's like, and I just play that with my mind all the time and, like, make it really, really real. And then when you're actually put in that situation, it's just like, I've done this to myself hundreds of times. And luckily with kicking, like, there are some lead ups. It's like you can hit a whole bunch of extra points. And like I said, I mean, those are easy, but it does get you in a groove there if you're able to hit a few and give you some confidence. So you can go out there and hit a field goal. And it's just like, well, it's not much different. I've been hitting my ball straight. Now I've got to hit it straight, and it needs to travel a little bit further. I mean, I was definitely nervous going into it, but I feel like I was able to calm myself when it's time to perform by just knowing the basics. Like, all you got to do is just go make a kick. You don't care about what the outcome is. You care about the process and how you can be successful. Make sure you do those little things that make you be set up to have success.
So I've always wondered this. Game's on the line right before halftime, into the game, whatever it is, the situation may be. You run out on the field, get all lined up, ready to go. Opposing team calls time. How much does that really affect you on making the kick whenever you get all psyched up, ready to go, they call timeout, and you got to wait a couple extra minutes?
I mean, if our team's in scoring position, it's second down, like, the suspense, I'm getting hyped up. I'm already doing that.
Yeah.
So, like, we're talking, there's 2.5 minutes where it's just like, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm probably have to go out and kick a field goal. Now they call a timeout. Now instead of being 2.5 minutes, now it's 3.5 minutes. It's just like, it's longer, but I really don't think there's a lot to it. As far as, like, icing, it's like, oh, now the kicker's got to think about it a little bit longer. It's like, well, I've been thinking about this for a long time. So sometimes it's also kind of a rush to get out there because you got the play clock to worry about, which a lot of times goes unseen because it's like we might be in a position where it's like Coach Pinkle or didn't know if we're going to hit the field or not because we're kind of at the outer range. It's like, well, now if we go out there and we're not on time for the play clock and taking a 5-yard penalty, now we're definitely not kicking. And now we're not scoring points. So it's like that's pressure in itself to just make sure the whole operation gets done in time. Whereas the timeout, you're never worrying about the play clock because, like, everything's like, all right, take a breath, like, make sure we got all of our guys on the line. We got to make sure that it's just like everything's just like, okay, before the show, we have a little dress rehearsal. That's kind of how I saw it the timeout beforehand.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I always noticed was you always were working on getting yourself to mentally to where you're going to be every single time you kicked. And you try to do it as quick as possible, regardless of what was going on. And you set these expectations for yourself higher than what anybody else expected. So there's at no point you're going to get out there where there's going to be more pressure from the crowd, from Coach Pinkel, from the scenario of the circumstances that are bigger than what you set for yourself. Right. And so I saw that with you all the time. And I remember aim small, miss small. Like, hey, I'm not trying to make a field goal. I'm trying to get it in the middle of the upright. There's a bullseye that is the size of a penny that I'm trying to hit. Aim small, miss small. That's what I'm trying to hit every single time. And so I got a glimpse of some of that mental conditioning that he was going through. And that's how you become great. You know, these are all, we're having this story about kicking, but the bigger picture is this is what Mizzou, this is what it takes throughout the program to be great.
Right.
And what it's going to take and the details that it takes for our team to get to where we need to get to.
Well, and everybody following those details. Everybody, whatever the details were that changed your position all the way down to special teams. And that's what it took to be great. And, I mean, you talk about a little bit about it because it's tough to make a kick, but if the ball doesn't get down, the kick's irrelevant anyway. How much pressure was on you? Did you ever feel the pressure in the moment or any of those things to make sure you caught the ball, make sure you had the laces in the right spot? Did you ever have them in the wrong spot, but it still made it, and you guys had a conversation about it afterward?
I think there was only like a couple times. I think I had the laces back like one time, and he made it. It was a shorter kick, but it's like the farther back you get, that's where it is, because there is no, I know if it's the laces are straight back, he's going to make it. But once you get over 40, that's whenever it comes. And for me, the biggest thing is not going out to catch the ball, right? As a receiver, the whole game, I'm trying to attack the ball, go and be aggressive, catch the ball, hold it tight, get it tucked quick.
Right.
This is hey, I'm sitting back. I'm letting the ball come back to me and not reaching out because it's too slow to catch it out in front of me and put it down. So that was the most thing for me, was to make sure I let the ball come to me and trust that, Bo Brinkley's going to get it back there and it's going to be in the right spot and get it done. I've done it enough times that it just comes natural. And so those were the things that I was trying to do and try to give him the best, because the pressure's on. Like, I didn't ever feel like the pressure. I'm just, okay, make sure we have the right spot on the ground, worrying about all the stuff that he doesn't need to worry about, and just let him focus on and do what he does best.
Awesome. You guys are watching Making Mizzou, sponsored by 360 Vodka. We're at Taps All Main with Jeff Wolfert, the most accurate kicker in Mizzou history. One of the most important pieces in the 2007 season, and the team's there a couple years beyond. Today's senior day in Como. Give us your best memory of senior day, or some of the memories that you have of senior day, if you have any. I've been hitting the head a lot, so I don't really remember too much about it. But do you remember anything about senior day? Was it a little more special to you? Talk about that a little bit.
It just feel like it came so quick.
Yeah.
We had a lot on the line, having really good football seasons, and all of a sudden it's like, when you're living in the moment, you think that, like, I'm always a Mizzou football player. Like, there's always another game, and it's like, no, this is actually going to end at some point in time. I'm not going to be walking in the building. My school's not going to be paid for all. Like, it's like there won't be a stipend check, and like, but when you're there, you don't think about those things because they're kind of negative thoughts. Because you're like you're living life, like you're playing on a good team, and a lot of friends and a lot of responsibilities, and but when senior day hit, it's just like, all right, this is it. I do definitely remember that it was cold. It was really, really cold. You remember it being that cold?
Yes, I do. Because I remember, I'm not wearing sleeves. I'm not doing anything. Not wearing gloves. I'm going to go out this last game like I practiced,
Yeah.
And
I remember Coach Pinkel kind of looking like a Michelin man. You got a big old black jacket on. He looked warm. I don't know if
he was always bundled up, baby.
It was a night game, right?
Yeah.
K-State night game.
Yeah.
I remember whenever we went into the locker room, it was still light, and the stadium there wasn't very many people in the stadium. And coming out, it was pitch black. The stadium was full. It was just an incredible experience running out onto the field. And like, dang, this is the last time, which is, it's crazy at the time. You don't really get to take it in because you're focused on playing this game.
I definitely felt that. I think there's a lot of circumstantial things where fans or family might be asking, like, what were you thinking during this? Or like, and think we kind of just stepped back and didn't let ourselves get tied up in moments like that.
Yeah.
Even like senior night, because you're literally thinking, okay, in 3 minutes, I'm going to be hitting the kickoff. And like, what do I need? I'm being celebrated for senior night, but it's also like, I need to get out there. I need to warm my leg a little bit more before this next kickoff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I couldn't concern myself with like the emotion and like the significance of like what this is to your career, when it's like my career's still happening. And like, I got to do this one thing, my job. So I'm doing my portion. So, it makes it less, I guess, enjoyable during the game, but it knows to be talking about you or your team unless you're able to get those distractions out and be able to perform.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like, hey, in about 7 minutes, this guy's gonna be trying to run through my face right here, and so I'm not really getting emotional about this. Is my last time in the zoo. I'm trying to go and win and destroy these cats across me.
Right.
One of the things I'll never forget about senior day is your parents and everybody's out there on the field before you run out, and Coach Pinkel is always right there to greet you when you come out of the tunnel, and he's shaking hands and giving everybody hugs. And when they got there, they had to change the entire program around, and there were guys that came and there were guys that went, and there were guys that were there and guys that just went. And you guys remember, Wolf, you might have been a little young, but Tommy, you remember the rough exterior that Coach Pinkel had. And I'll never forget, on our senior day, Coach Pinkel was crying.
Yep, I remember that.
Everybody was just like, whoa, because it never happened before, not even on senior day.
Yeah.
And it was just like the gravity of that moment of everything that we were working for, those guys were working for too, right? Like their jobs, their family's livelihood depended on us getting the job done.
Right.
And we were having such a good season that year that it was just like all of their work was coming to it. We were ranked 6th, I think, in the nation. We were playing Texas A&M, and we were going to go undefeated at home. We were undefeated in the I think we lost to Oklahoma, so we were almost undefeated in the conference, but I think it was the first winning conference record we had since they were there. I mean, there was just so many different things that went into that day, and I'll never forget watching that raw emotion on Coach Pinkel's face and just thinking like, wow, this is super cool. Like, we've really done something here. Mm-hmm. It's not over. We got to go win this game. And that was the other thing I can remember thinking. It's like, just don't lose this game. Don't lose this game, because the next week was the KU game. And that was the game that was going to be for all the marbles as long as we won that game.
Yep.
And that was also the first season where, after we lost to Oklahoma, it wasn't the same old, all our goals are still out there, we just got to win the next game speech. It was the first time that he ever broke character and was like, listen, if you guys want to do what we say we want to do, you can't lose another game this year. And so it was just a really cool moment at that time to see him human, and to realize the gravity of what we were about to embark on. All we had to do was win that game and then go take care of business the next week. And it was just so much fun. Senior day was definitely a special day. You still have your rock?
Somehow I left Columbia without a rock in my possession. Yeah. So do you guys have your rocks?
I do. My rock's at my parents' house right now, along with a piece of the goalpost from the 2003 Nebraska game when we beat them for the first time in like 25 years.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere at the house, but I don't know exactly where it's at.
I know some people down there still. I might be able to get you guys a rock or two.
I had an opportunity to grab a rock, and like at the moment, I just didn't want to grab it and like carry it and hold it with me. And I was just like, I can always go get one like later. So like, if one goes missing, you can find me. So.
That's hilarious.
Super fun too. That was the game where everybody always went around the stadium. You went and got your rock, and then you went around the stadium, and it seemed like it took 45 minutes to get into the locker room because everybody was shaking hands with the fans and hugging. And
you did that every game, bro.
Well, I did, but
you did that every game.
But I got that
so for everybody else. So everybody else got to do what Ruck did for the game on their senior night. Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
I got that from senior day, though. The guys in the past, they only did it one game a year, and it was like, guys, this is my last season here. I love these people. This has been so much fun. I want to share it with everybody. Oh, that's awesome. Well, as we transition real quickly, we'll get you out of here, but tell us what you're doing now. After you left Mizzou, I know you got into a couple of camps, I believe, and maybe you went to Canada possibly, or Arena or something. And then now tell us a little bit about your family and what you're doing now.
So right out of school, I had a couple mini camp tryouts, and nothing stuck for that first year. And then it'll pick up with a league called the United Football League. and played in Omaha. There was like 4 teams, and did really well my first year. That's a fall season, and then the Cleveland Browns signed me.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so sorry.
I know. It seemed really exciting at the time, but
I know what you went through. Oh man, I'm so sorry.
It sounded exciting at the time. I'm an NFL football player.
Kinda.
Yep. I mean, the weight room. I mean, it was a high school weight room, and it's just like what I always envisioned of like an NFL franchise, and like the facilities like way better than college, right? Because it's like the next thing. It's like, no, actually, the college facilities are way nicer than the NFL facilities. And so I mean, because college has to recruit guys, where NFL they just sign it, they pay for it, right? And nonetheless, so I signed to the Browns. They're all OTAs, played in a few preseason games, but they franchise tagged their kicker, so like I'm out. But good looks, good film. Went back to UFL, played there for another season, got signed by the Browns again. This time, no franchise tag on their kicker. And then, so it's like, well, this is my job. Like, there's no one in the way. They've already franchised tagged their kicker last year, so it's like, okay, it's me. And I'm there, and then all of a sudden, like, they re-franchise tag their kicker, which is like at that point never been done before.
Yeah.
And so now the kicker is making $4.5 million a year, whereas like all the other kickers making $3 million max. And it's just like, wouldn't you know? But I mean,
leave it to the Browns, the franchise.
Phil Dawson, he was one guy that he was better than me, and he was the first guy that I had ever like kicked with or had even seen where I'm like, he's better than me. Like, and like that was really demoralizing. I didn't know how to deal with that because everywhere I had been, like. Maybe the guy was better than me, but like I thought I was better than you. Yeah. But then it's just like, no, I'm not.
Phil kicked for a long time, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was there when I was there, and he was always that dude. If coach ever put, next day's practice, you get a day off. If the kicker makes the kick or whatever, everybody, we just start walking to the locker, and we knew Phil was money.
Yeah. No, for real. But so NFL didn't work out long term wise. I did get a little taste of it, so like I was glad I was able to do that. I did a bunch of camps after that, coaching and help elevate the position in the sport. Sure. And I was really big into that. I was hosting some really big camps and helping Mizzou get some of their kickers that they had, i.e. Baggett and Tucker McCann. Yeah. But once I had kids that were of the age where I really wanted to be hanging out with them, like on the weekends, that fire of mine to help coach kind of diminished, and like now I want to be with my family on weekends. Absolutely. And, that's where that kind of went away, but then I picked up with landscaping, and I had a landscape horticulture degree from Mizzou, and now I run and own a landscape business in Kansas City and do mainly residential, and I really enjoy that. Yeah.
So talk about it. What's it called? Tell us where we can find you if we need. My backyard's a little uneven. I got a big slope back there, so I'm going to need a fire pit, and I'm going to need a retaining wall up here pretty soon. How can we get a hold of you? And do you do all things residential? Do you do it from bare to beautiful, or do we need a plan and then you come in and make it beautiful?
My ideal customer is either a new build or has a house that has just an outdated look and they want to revamp it. Yep. I like to come in. I like to demo. I like to design, and then actually, I don't like designing. I'm good at designing. So if I do a design, I definitely want to build it because my passion is to build it. Sure. So I find the right client that definitely wants me to build it. So I'll put in the time to do the design. And backyard, outdoor living spaces. I love hearing someone's vision and helping that vision become a reality. And that's usually ripping out, changing layouts, putting patio here, putting fire pit there. Yeah. We've even done some work on pool work. Do a lot of landscape lighting, do irrigation, do retaining walls. So we do a lot of different things, scope of work. My business, like I said, is Lighthouse Landscape, and my website is lighthousekc.com.
Fantastic, man. Tommy, you got anything else?
No, man. Just like how we talked about this show was about highlighting the people that helped make Mizzou and continue to make Mizzou and reach the goals that we want to do. And we, man, thank you for everything you've done for Mizzou, your time there, swimming and diving, on the team. And it's funny because it's like a lot of times if you know the kicker's name, it's not a good thing most of the time, Yeah. And so it's like, I know you got a lot of publicity afterwards because, you're the number one kicker in NCAA history and all this stuff. And so, man, we just thank you for everything you did for Mizzou. And just glad you got to come here, talk about your time at Mizzou, man, and wish you the best.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it, guys.
We're at Taps on Main. This is Making Mizzou. That was Jeff Wolfert. We're sponsored by 360 Vodka. We got another guest coming up here really quickly. Hang tight as we get switched out, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Taps on Main to Making Mizzou, sponsored by 360 Vodka. We just pulled a little switcheroo, and Tommy's not the best magician, so give him a second to get set up. But we got with us now one of the biggest, the biggest human being I've ever been around. I mean, I've been around some big guys, but this dude is just massive. I remember when I was in high school, we were on this radio show, all district team or all area team up in Northwest Missouri, and we're in high school. So we go to this banquet, and I'm 6'5" in high school, so I'm a decent sized guy, 195 pounds, 200 pounds, whatever you call it. We're sitting down, and this guy walks in the door. I was like, whose dad is that? That dude is young. And it was a 6'8", 315-pound Colin Brown. I said, my goodness gracious, this guy's a mountain of a man. And then 2 years later, here he comes at Mizzou, and he's protecting the right side. Colin Brown, man, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to be with you all.
Hey, well, I got a Colin Brown high school story. I went down to Springfield to play in this all-star high school basketball game.
Yeah.
And
wait, you played in an all-star?
Okay. I had 24 points in the game, but it's not a big deal.
Time.
It's fine. It's all good. And Colin was playing. I didn't know who he was at the time. He was playing in the game before, and they were reading the stats after the game, and he had 30 rebounds in the game. I said, what? He had 30 rebounds. Every time the ball went up, he got it. Outlet. Both sides of the floor. I was like crazy. And then, we show up to Mizzou, and we walk on together. We're there. I'm like, yeah, we're going to be buds. We're walk-ons together, and we're going to really go out here, and we're going to earn scholarships. and he got a scholarship the second day of camp or freshman year. 2 days into camp, he's a second string, got his scholarship. I was like, oh, we're not going to earn this together.
We're not going to be buddies. Okay, good.
Cool.
Good luck, Mal.
Yeah. Oh, I'm down here on the scout team this year. So,
oh, that's awesome, man. Colin Brown, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, man.
I am trying to get into the ministry.
Yeah.
So I have an appointment. It's not been made official, but starting January 1st, I'm supposed to have my own church. And
really?
Yeah, it'd be good to go.
Well, congratulations,
so, yeah.
man. That's
Thank
fantastic.
You. Thanks.
So played at Mizzou, 5th round pick by the Kansas City Chiefs, played 2010 to 2013 for the Bills. Talk a little bit about the NFL career. How was that?
It was a very interesting time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I can imagine.
I love Buffalo.
Yeah.
Grew up a lifelong Chiefs fan. That was a different year, different experience that time when I was
the
here.
Coach?
That was Haley and Pioli's first year.
Okay.
And so it was a very interesting time.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out great because I loved Buffalo. I thought it was Kansas City just a little bit colder.
Sure.
And so, it was a great run.
Down at Mizzou, you were part of the beginning of some really good offensive lines. The O-line is something that, and D-line, but O-line really is something that really gets overlooked. It's just like the guys out there that are blocking for all the other guys to have a lot of success. But you guys are like the most pivotal part because the offense does not work without you all. And you guys take just a different kind of pride that O-linemen have in being just the nasty, unglorified guys that go out and get it done. And it's almost like the worse the task is, the better it is. Just talk a little bit about that mantra and how you guys really created that at Mizzou, because for us to have the success that we had, you guys had to perform at a really high level. When we got to Mizzou, there were some good individuals on the line, but as a unit, it wasn't great. And you guys then just started getting draft pick after draft pick and just continued to get better. Talk about how that happened. Talk about the culture you guys established there and how you guys got us to where we were.
So for me, I spent the first 3 years as a backup, and we wasn't sure if I was ever going to get a chance to actually play, right? And so when I finally did, it still was, how do I just not screw up this opportunity? Like, I just want to do it. And for me, the changing moment was actually the Oklahoma game,
okay,
right? I remember getting on the bus after that game and realizing if I do my job, we're probably going to win.
Sure.
Like, I don't have to do anything special. All I got to do is just keep this guy from tackling Chase before he can get it to one of you guys, and we're going to win. And so from that point on, it just became easy. Like, I knew all I had to do was block for 3 seconds, and Chase was going to get rid of the ball, and we're good to go. And so it just kind of carried from there. And once we all kind of figured that out, it just really, I don't know, it kind of took a life of its own that I don't know if we could recreate if we had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because you start to think about what makes, you great, a team great, where your success comes from. And something I've just really been noticing a lot is things that make you great is when it's like super simple.
Yeah.
Hey, do your job, run full speed on your route, do what you're supposed to do, and come out of your break fast every single time.
Right.
To get every single player, 11 guys to do that every single time, do the right thing, play full speed, and give full effort. It sounds really simple, but it's not.
Nope.
And a lot of it comes from emotions, right? And feelings. I remember when we first got there, if you didn't feel like you were going to get the ball, other receivers,
right,
as a walk-on, I had to, and being not the fastest guy on the team, there was no jogging ever. I'm always running full speed from conditioning test to, running a go route. It's all nothing but full speed.
This is not a joke, okay? He had to run full speed. His full speed was everyone else's jog.
To make a crossfield time. I'm like 15 seconds. I'm full speed sprints. Might as well. Time me out. But if you didn't feel like you're going to get the ball, if you weren't in the play call, they wouldn't run full speed. Well, that doesn't allow the safety to, to play lazy and cover two for one. You're not stretching the field. Right. Your corner can sag off. It really affects the defense. And so just what you said, really making it super simple. Oh, I just can't let this guy tackle Chase for just 3 seconds. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I don't have to pancake him. I don't have to do anything crazy and just making it really simple.
Yeah, and you were already huge, so they couldn't really get. Another Colin Brown story I have is so when I was a senior, in the first few games, we were having trouble getting pressure on the quarterback. And so I played defensive end in high school. And I went to Coach Pinko and I was like, Coach, listen, just put me in at D end on third down. That's it. Just let me rush the passer on third down.
That's a terrible idea.
It would have been a great idea.
Okay. That's a terrible idea.
It took me 2 weeks to convince Coach Pinko to let me try it. So in practice, they finally let me go down. It was with third down period or something like that. I got to go down with the D.
Oh, that's hilarious. This couldn't have happened very long because I don't remember it at all.
Well, so we did one-on-one pass rush, and I went against Colin Brown. And the first time, I mean, it was so funny because he looked across and he was like, Ruck? I was like, what are you doing? And it was like he was so shocked and he was so disoriented. I don't think he had time to really process what was going on. And so I actually got around him and I got the towel. And then I was like, oh, and I was jumping.
Oh, and it's like this is like your teammate. Like you're like, hey, we're offense. We're always going against the defense.
Right.
So you're like, wait a minute, what's going? Like that has happened. Like we all have had that before. It's like,
Absolutely.
oh, you're like, and then you do that, and he's like, oh, okay.
He was like, so now you're one of okay. I see what this is now. And so, I'm like, Coach C, jumps on him and says something. He's a tight end, Colin. What are you doing?
Yep.
Whatever. So we go back through the line, and then it's our time to go again. And I'm like, shoot, this is easy. I'm straight. And he put the paws on me, pushed me down, and we got the little rubber stuff in the turf. It got all in my face, and it was in my Oh, it was so funny. But honestly, after that, I never got on the field during the game. But the D-line started playing better. So by them seeing, by Colin letting me get the towel the first time and then him dragging me through the dirt the second time, I think it lit a spark in the defense.
I wish we could cut away and show that clip of him, the practice footage of him doing that. That is so funny. That's hilarious.
We don't want to see that first clip. I was thinking about that earlier, driving down here, about losing to you on that rep.
And I know that
not a good memory.
Doesn't that piss you off? There's periods of things like that happen, and it makes you so mad to this day. You're like, how did I let that happen? There's not a chance.
Oh man, it was so fun though, man. It was such a good team, and I don't know if you guys realized it or did you guys ever make a thing about it? But there was Brad Madison, Tyler Llewellyn, Colin Brown, all on that line. Those guys this is a Missouri line having the most success Mizzou's had in the history, and these guys are all from about a 40-mile radius in northwest Missouri. And then Speaker, anchored the line. He's from Webb City, so pretty much everybody was from Missouri. But was that ever a point of pride or anything that you guys talked about in your room? Or
we were very proud of, because there was 4 of us that played 1A football. Me, Curtis, Tyler, and Ryan.
Yeah.
And so we were very proud of that. But winning that season was more important than reliving our 1A glory days. So we didn't get too much into it.
Some boys from the farm.
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome, man. So today, down in Como, it's senior day. Talk a little bit about your senior day. What do you remember, if you remember anything? Talk a little bit about that.
What I remember is Pinko had us so conditioned to doing the same thing every time that I hated senior day because it messed up your whole routine.
Yep.
I didn't want to be the honorary captain that one week. I didn't want to do senior day. Just keep doing what we're doing and not worry about all this other stuff. Outside of that, I remember ours was so cold. Yep. And then the next week we went to Baylor and about had heat stroke and warm-ups. But that's about all I remember from that year.
Yeah, that's funny. That's exactly and that's where he ingrains this in. And so whenever it's out, you notice yourself doing something different, you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. But then you realize okay, I'm conditioned to go against anything, adapt and go against any adversity, and I'm gonna go and be successful no matter what. So it's so funny as you think back about those emotions and feelings at the time. And those experiences. It was a great time. Yeah.
Tell us who the toughest guy you had to block in college was, and then in the pros, and tell us why.
Well, in the pros, it kind of depends.
Yeah.
Because in practice, when I was on the practice squad in Baltimore, trying to do inside run without pads on with Florida Gators was basically impossible.
perfect.
You get in the games. Vince Wolfert wasn't any fun either.
Oh,
In college, the one that gave me the most problems was the kid at Illinois.
really?
And I don't know, that could have been a combination of first start and first game of the year and how dark it was in that stadium and everything else. But for the most part, I mean, we had 5-foot splits, right? You got to think about this. I was 12 foot from the center.
Yeah.
And then Chase is 7 yards deep. Like, I mean, I was so far away that
it didn't really matter.
Like, you could have had first round picks out there and it wasn't going to be that big a deal because there was so much ground they had to cover to get to him. And so that always worked out well for me.
What did you hate blocking more? The speed guy around the end or that high motor guy that never quit?
Well, see, in college, that's what it caused me problems in the NFL because in college I realized I'm so far from Chase. Yeah. All I want to make you do is run me over, get back up, and tackle him before he can find somebody to throw the ball to. And I don't think you can do it. Yeah. And so I wanted you to try to run me over every play. And so I'd step back. And that's part of why I got as heavy as I could. I was just like, I just want to make you run into me and get back up and get Chase. And so to me, there really wasn't enough difference with our splits and all that between the fast guys and the strong guys and everything else because they didn't have time to dance around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I remember when I got to the NFL, the game was so much different because we didn't huddle. All we got was signals from the sideline. So there was no words really throughout the game, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was tough for me in the early going to huddle, hear the play that was 4 paragraphs long with 3 motions in it, decipher which one was mine, know where to line up, and do all of the motions and remember the concept of the play of what we're actually trying to do and having to decipher all that through words.
Yeah.
That was really tough for me in the beginning. What was the toughest thing for you to transition to the NFL? Was it the splits? Was it the play call? Was it all the above? Talk a little bit about that transition and what it was like from college to pros and what was different.
Well, like you said, the play calls were so much different than what we had at Mizzou. But for me, what I found the big issue was literally everything I did in college that made me successful, none of it translated. Because this whole idea of just sitting back and letting this guy rush me, now I'm on top of the quarterback.
Right.
And it's like, I don't even know what's happening here, like because this used to work and now it's not. And so I basically had to start all over from scratch and try and relearn completely how I was supposed to block as a lineman. And that took a while too. Ended up having to go inside and I couldn't do the tackle anymore once I got to the NFL.
I got you. You know, one of the things that's so important and it's so key, especially when you're making the transition, but also like in your situation, you're basically relearning how to play the position.
Right.
Having a mentor or having somebody who takes you under their wing and really shows you the ropes, shows you how to do it. For me at Mizzou, it was Tony Palmer was one of those guys for me who really showed me how to be a collegiate football player on and off the field. When I got to the pros, it took me until I got to the Eagles, and our position coach there taught me how to block. And so when I was in Cleveland, I had the whole coaching staff got fired after the first year. So I went through 2 coaching staffs in Cleveland. And so it was until the 3rd coaching staff that somebody actually taught me how to block, what it meant to get your hips through and things to be an effective blocker in the game of football. Was there anybody who was a mentor to you as a coach or as a player that helped you with that transition and helped you basically rebuild yourself into an NFL offensive lineman?
Yeah, the coach in Buffalo, right? So he had been the assistant O-line coach in Kansas City.
Okay.
And so I had knowledge of him and knew him. He got let go after my rookie year, but then he got picked up in Buffalo, and I ended up there at the end of that year. Right. And one of the big things with him, not only did he teach me what getting your hips through and some of those different things meant, he also knew I couldn't play tackle, and so he didn't ever let me do it. And so because if you'd have stuck me back out there, you'd have cut me the next day and said, yeah, this isn't going to work. And so he made me stay inside, and that really helped as much as anything too.
Sure.
But I think that's what makes a good coach, and even good teammates like Chase, like talking about Chase, like Chase knew where to get his guys the ball at the right time.
Yep.
Right. And coaches, we just had Coach Ping on the show last week talking about, adapting to the players. He had his plan, but he's also listening and changing things up. I'm like, Sunday practices and getting people in the right, listen to you to go, try to go play defensive end.
Absolutely.
You're an All-American tight end. okay, well, let's try it out. What's it going to hurt for him to go down there for a period and see him get destroyed by Colin Brown? You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to hurt anything but his ego, which that's so big. We can't even.
Let's just be really clear.
We can't even, his confidence. It's not going to hurt his confidence.
1-1, okay? I don't know. Destroy. It's 1-1.
Hey,
okay?
let's get the last one right here. Hey, 2 out of 3.
If you mean destroy by that, okay?
Let's do one rep right here. We'll back the table up. We'll back the table up and see. If you want to go right now.
I think my back hurts now. Let me try to run a rep.
Can you imagine getting back out there right now? Oh my goodness!
I did a couple years ago. Yeah. I had a neighbor who was convinced he could beat me in one-on-one pass rush, and I kept telling him, like, dude, I don't like. If you could, I just wouldn't have played as long as I did. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Well, he wouldn't drop it, and so finally, I got all my old pads out. I completely padded up. He did.
Hilarious.
And we went out in the backyard and did 10 reps.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
And you destroyed him.
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
I was trying to pancake him. He ended up keeping me from pancaking him twice. Because he would back up and run from me and keep away.
That is
but
so
he did
funny.
not. He did not get to the quarterback.
Have you had anything like that? I remember going back, like after my senior year, we went to a Chiefs game with some buddies from high school, and high school football with them. And so, like, and they're 5 years removed, and it's like, listen, like I'm like I signed with the Detroit Lions, like right. You can't jam me. Like, he thinks you can jam me off the line. I'm like, there's not a chance. You're not going to be able to touch me. You know what I mean? You're going to fall down right
break
here.
Your forearm.
Yeah, like, there's just not a chance. And then the same thing is like, okay, I am actually competitive and aggressive. So, like, if you keep talking long enough, I'm going to say, fine, okay, let's go. And so,
you're probably going to get hurt.
Yes,
I
exactly.
got one speed.
Yeah, that's why I don't do it. I've never played flag football. I've never done any leagues after football, is because football is very aggressive. And that's the only way I know how to play. And you can't.
Absolutely.
Yep.
The only thing I played after I got done was basketball.
Yeah, I'll play basketball. Yep.
All
but
day
I'm
long.
not
playing
football
because I don't want to look like that guy who's trying way too hard, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Is I try really hard.
Yeah.
And I hurt people.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to come out and two-hand punch you in the throat on the first play of the game, so you're not going to try to be aggressive and try to jam me on the line. That's the first play of every game.
Absolutely.
Like,
set the tone.
Yep. So I'm going to set the tone. Yep. And then I'm going to let you jam me one time, like on a run play away, out of bounds, so you can build your confidence. And then I'm going to do the same thing and run a slant and catch a first down. Like, those are things that are going to happen. So that's fun, Colin. I wish I had film of that too. That's fantastic.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're running up against time right now. We're at Taps on Main. We got to say huge thanks to 360 Vodka for sponsoring the show. Big thanks to Jeff Wolfert for coming on. Thanks, Colin Brown, for coming on, reliving some memories with us. Thank all you guys for watching. We've got a few shows left, so make sure you keep tuning in. This is Making Mizzou, Martin Rucker, Tommy Saunders. Today we got the Gators. Let's go get it. Let's go get bowl eligible. MIZ.
ZLU.